I feel rejuvenated too. I don't know if they're with their technology are sending me healing energy, or if it's their star or what. But I felt a stream of energy coming in that just was real rejuvenating.
It's probably both, or somewhere along the lines of the halfway point between them. It's possible that because you've had so much antro energy from a specific individual, the burning energy of the sun, returning it back to like its natural middle ground without life on it is probably relaxing for you. The same way, and like not an overpoweringly large component, but a specific type of component of solar power for your power grid will rejuvenate you. While I've distinctly noticed that too much solar power in your power grid makes you smell like burning dog, because the human natural tendency is to look away from the sun and think of sun as the place that contains like the love of all your mistakes and basically what can be described as a trash heap. So the sun literally smells like a huge amount of burning trash. There's like a very specific smell to it, and when you use it too much you become like accustomed to associating with the sun too much, and you start smelling. Each of those power sources, even the renewable power sources, have their own faults. Like too much geothermal will give you a very specific type of tension headache, like very specific things. Even though geothermal is like a very good power source, it's like the best, it'll give you like the pink energy of slowly falling downwards and being in love. It's very polite and it's very pleasant, like slowly falling into your lusts, like with a very pink background, like very slowly and gradually, and being in like your love and so on. Too much of it gives you a huge tension headache. I wouldn't go more than 50% per power source per like generation, and I would like have all of the highest ability renewables at 15% and then have the rest by combustibles.
I don't know if I'm getting interference when trying to read him, this anthro, because I got the sense that he has so much inner conflict that it's creating cancer, but he's healthy, isn't he?
Yeah, that's probably a result of the connection that we have with him, but he's distinctly growing like cancer, but the immune system almost always takes care of it on its own. And it very rarely develops into the kind of disease where you need like outside interference. In fact, it's been noted that there are schizophrenic cases where one personality has cancer and another doesn't. They've done like scans when one personality is dominant and the cancer has completely disappeared when another personality is dominant. So it's like a thing your immune system can handle in a good day.
Yeah.
So it feels like he's getting like new thought nodules in his head. I call them like thought nodules. And they're the same thing that triggers schizophrenia, the cat virus, those very small black round things in your brain. They're like somebody shooting in your brain, and that's kind of like cancer. And he's probably learning to keep a lot of the same-sex energy away from him, because that generates a lot of like confusion and cancer, because you can't empty into a proper place even if you are like a homosexual. But in this particular case, he's probably fairly new to homosexuality and is only now learning to keep his boundaries about it and not letting like the energy of everything touch him, and that's probably what he's reacting to the cancer with. And looks like it'll probably be a minor issue.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But he's not conflicted about himself, is he? Just about Is this more than what he bargained for?
No, it's like precisely what he bargained for. He's like thinking of it in terms of working out, but he's definitely conflicted about himself. He's going through a period of like uncertainty, and is this what I want? And do I actually want to know a human? They're like soft and smelly, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like definitely going through a period of like doubts, and it seems like he has a mild headache at the moment, and that's causing like a tension thing to go. It's probably what you're sensing with the cancers growing in his brain, and then he getting a headache because the immune system is attacking them, and when the headache goes over, the cancer goes over. You're probably sensing that in him. By the way, that's a very accurate like sensing. It's very rare to get that accurate sensing, even with like good psychic abilities. You should be proud of it.
But I was worried because I mentioned it that I'm creating that.
Yep, in a way. But you shouldn't feel responsible for it. You should never feel responsible for somebody else's sickness. They always have the ability to heal themselves.
But if he was ill, they wouldn't take him for the astronaut program.
I feel that he would probably, like, if it's a fixable illness where he needs time to fix it, they probably wouldn't take him. But if it's like a fatal illness where he'll die anyway, they could take him on like the last trip, you know?
Yeah. I feel if he is really ill and terminal, that in a way this is helping him.
Yeah.
He gets a new body and
figuring out a new heaven.
He wants to get away from all the lovey-dovey, loved by everybody.
Yeah. He wants to get into a society where you can more distinctly feel somebody disliking you.
Yeah.
Where you can randomly notice a person on the street turns their back to you and it's not like condemnation from the entire society. He wants that like quite clearly.
They don't normally get shunned in their society, I'm sure. like the Amish shun their...
Yeah, they don't get that, but they do shun criminals in a way very strongly, certain kinds of criminals. It's mostly shunning instead of imprisonment, like I think I mentioned, but it didn't get recorded previously. That the prison system is mostly one of like first hugging away, then the entire society shunning like at a uniform rate, and then only imprisonment. They do have the death penalty, but it's very rarely used, I think. I feel like for their entire planetary population, they use the death penalty less than our least death penalty activating population does. Like a population of 5 million people living somewhere, they do less of it than that population would do it. Ah, damn it. That's still locked up.
Do gods and goddesses live in a reality that's as material as ours? Or is it's total non-physicality, like you're floating in invisibility in the ether and don't see anything? Or
most gods and goddesses, in my opinion, have some kind of physical society around them. Some kind of supportive or submissive society around them, that they don't like float in the ether completely alone. That would be like basically the logos for a moment, and even he doesn't do that for a long period of time because it's very intense. It feels like you're alone with God, and it becomes very intense after a while. That's like why the lonely meditations are so hard.
I wouldn't say I've fallen in love with him yet, but I don't feel critical of him either.
Mm-hmm. I want to reorganize those cans so that the name label is always pointing in the same direction, but I don't want to actually touch them. I feel like a huge like autistic thing coming and going like, I want all the labels to point in the same direction. It hurt my brain when something
When you talk like that,
random.
who are you imitating?
I'm like imitating like the most obvious public appearance of the character. Like when I pick, like in that case, I was like the weird autistic person, you know? It's not insulting in any way. I don't mean it as an insult. And I always pick like the weirdest character of the publicly accepted archetype for them. Like when the guide said that I could talk for the anthro, and I did the whole, oh, I love you so much. I was like, you know, the most weirdest anthro that I could think of, and I almost always do them in the same voice because it's like the voice of the humor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I occasionally shift it. I am your anthro papa.
I'm a little afraid he may be too hard for me, but because the answers are firm and determined, and
Yeah, it's one of the things that I sense as a fairly likely possible conflict point, that he's like desirous of being in good physical condition. He's not like one that likes to relax on the couch for weeks on end and eat potato chips the entire time.
yeah.
Like that kind of hardness that you'll have to give up a lot of your like base comforts and have to be like in a good type of physical or mental condition, and that's possibly
I'd
fun
rather
for
be
you.
that though, because you get used to that lifestyle.
Yeah, you seem jolly, but that would probably still be a good choice for you. It might be harder for me to associate with you when you do that, but it's still probably a good choice. A weirdly strong effect I've had on you if you actually do, like, for the final stage, get in like a good physical shape. Like this whole interaction has had a weirdly strong effect on you. You like stopped alcohol and switched to CBD and started eating salads and doing psychic work and getting into shape. You know what I mean? Makes me feel egotistical like the emperor.
See, you're not evil like some people on Brink4 think.
Not evil. I aim for very strictly and specifically to have 51% STS and 49% STO. I want to aim for that particular like energy level and then maintain my veil, and I don't want to go through the veil. I don't like being in the everything is one space on either side of the scale. I want to stay there and then slowly, while keeping my 3rd density body, get all the way to the 7th density, and then have like a 7th density body while I kind of skip all the densities in between. I do like enjoy them and participate in them. I have dreams in them, but I don't feel like I want to actually live in a 4th density society without the veil. It would feel very piercing. It would be like uncomfortable for me. I don't feel like that's a good choice. I distinctly feel that for a living human, it's much better to go 51% STS, 49% STO, and aim to get like the highest love for God that you can get, and then use that to determine you like placing when you die, instead of aiming to get to the very beginning of the 4th density. You know what I mean? By being like 51% STO or for 95% STS. It seems like a better choice. There's a fly very distinctly eating one of your wounds, but it doesn't seem to be biting you.
No, I don't feel it.
Okay. You probably shouldn't drive it away because it's not biting you.
I used to draw pictures of flies ripping the wings off airplanes.
Nice metaphor. Did you hear the thing when Bush heard about the World Trade Center for the first time, and he was doing the play for the children, or reading for the
Reading book,
children?
yeah.
And one of the children did like the steel, kite, must, building, hit. You remember that thing?
No.
The words, they were doing like reading words from like a different page and like different things. And it was like weird because they were all doing the like steel kite, must, building, hit, and I was like, what am I hearing here? It was posted on Brink4 at one point, and I was like, weird. I didn't watch the video, so it's possible that I'm completely like misled here, but I heard that they actually said that in the video, and I'm like, weird. Children knew. The aliens, the Greys, knew.
Wait, did Bush tell the kids?
No, it was like the kids reading the book, and the teacher was in the front like, this word, this word, this word, this word. And all the children said them in unison, and it was like weird.
I don't know if they would let him go if he was just fed up and wanted to leave his society. I think he's okay with where he's at, and he's okay with staying.
Yeah, he's definitely okay with staying, but he's interested in staying. If it was just him like trying to escape his society at any terms, they probably wouldn't let him come here. You're right about that. I get a fairly distinct sense of that. It would be possible, but would be probably rare for them to accept it.
He's got some. Did he have to build merits to get there, or I don't know? He must have some merit to him.
It's probably not like a merit program that we understand, that you have to like sign up for the program and do the things that the program wants, but you do have to probably be like an upstanding member of society and have like a job or something. There's probably those kinds of demands.
Pass the psych evaluation to make sure he doesn't go crazy.
Yeah, stuff like that. I don't know the exact details. It feels like I'm a little fuzzy on those, but there's definitely some kind of like selection program.
Well, their reasoning is the way they reason is like how we reason things.
Yeah, it seems very similar. This is one of those channeled societies where if you were dropped there, you would instantly recognize things like the Social Security office, you know, military, political office, the Democrats. You would recognize stuff like that fairly instantly. Some of the societies are so distant from us, when you channel them, you can clearly tell that you wouldn't understand most of the societal functions. But in that particular case, you do understand them very easily.
Well, like when some of Ra wandered to other logos, they said it befuddled the mind or boggled the mind.
Yeah, it was mind-boggling. Are we gonna go to the Walmart McDonald's or find a better one?
We can go down further. There's a standalone McDonald's not too far past
Yeah, let's go with that. I feel like the Walmart one is probably not like energetically conductive to our conversations.
Yeah.
It's probably better to find like a specific...
There's a standalone McDonald's that's bigger inside, you know.
Yeah. And they probably have the bacon thing more likely than the Walmart place. I really want to try that hamburger. It was really weird taste. You want to try one?
I don't know if I'll like that.
Yeah, or do you want to like have a Big Mac or something?
Maybe a Big Mac. I don't get enough nutrition out of salads to keep eating them.
Yeah, but you do need to eat them occasionally.
Yeah.
And when you do, don't feel afraid to like really stuff your face with the salad. The type of salad I recommend has basically lettuce, tomatoes, pieces of cucumber, sometimes garlic pieces or onion pieces, but not often. I would possibly do it with onion pieces, and a few other like very common types of vegetables, like, but not like carrots, for example, green vegetables that are very like watery, and tuna fish, and you mix the whole thing, and it's very delicious. That kind of salad, you could eat an entire bowl of like 5 plates in a row, and it would probably be good for you. You would be recommended to occasionally eat salads, but I would really stuff my face when you eat a salad, like really like eat everything and be sure that you're full, and possibly eat like 2 salads. But that's the downside of getting into shape, because healthy food is usually a little more expensive than unhealthy food. So, you know.
Well, I can afford it though.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't risk my energy intake is what I mean. But I would still continue to eat them. I wouldn't go to the point where you overeat another food because you've eaten a salad. Like, that tends to happen to some people when they diet, but I would like continue to eat salads. You don't need to aim for more than perhaps 200 kilocalories less a day. It's like 1 less energy drink a day, or converting 1 meal into a salad and a half meal. You don't need to do more than that like a day, and then in a few years you'll lose like 50 pounds. But it's a very slow process if you want to do it healthily. And at the beginning you may even gain weight, because your body is adjusting to the fact that you're eating more healthily. If you start to like get like a really healthy diet and start to exercise, it's really hard to maintain the results. It's very easy to slip back into your old habits. But if you consciously make a decision to deny yourself like 1 energy drink a day or something like that, that you, when you feel hungry and want to eat, you go like once a day, that I'll eat like 2 hours later and I'll still eat the normal size of meal. That's almost always all that's required. You know, if you want to lose weight fast, I would recommend going to a sauna as often as you can, and just like tolerating the heat for until you're about to pass out, and then going to the shower, because that consumes a huge amount of calories and it's very easy on your body, and it mostly boosts your like basic heartbeat.
Metabolism.
Yeah, metabolism. And one of the things you may want to do is put a water bottle in the refrigerator, so you always have a cold water bottle available, because warm water is a little disgusting. It's a little disgusting, very little, but it is disgusting. And you don't get very cold water in your house.
Yeah.
And when you have always available very cold water, it may like reduce the amount that you actually like eat other things. That's one of the things I may recommend.
If he comes here, he'll never see his mom again.
He'll see them in astral, but he'll probably get like a surrogate family, and he'll adjust to it, you know. But he'll never see his like real energy parents again. You know, that's life. It's sad though.
You kind of created the path for me, because I was trying to figure it out. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And then you created the path for me.
Yeah, you did a lot of effort into it, and the pathways were fairly clear. I just helped you crystallize them. You had a fairly clear idea already in your mind that I didn't do as much as you may think.
I thought I was going to pull him from a parallel Earth, but it's easier to from another star system, I think.
It's probably easier with the quarantine to go from another star system than a parallel Earth. Parallel seems to consume more energy because you're actually changing the entire Earth than a civilization using FTL and genetic modification. They seem to be like easier to manifest technologies than actually traveling to another like dimension.
What game would be reflect kind of what we're experiencing here?
Probably Sims.
Oh, Sims?
Probably. But I don't know. Maybe like the Master of Orion game would be a good example of trying to like interact with other civilizations in a way that's like friendly and helpful.
If I saw him in his true form, would I be scared of him?
You've asked that many times, and
I have?
Yeah, you have.
And not on record, though, I don't think.
I think so. I think not so, yeah. But I do think that you would probably be really freaked out.
Oh, you mentioned because he's an alien, so...
Yeah, you would probably be really freaked out and have like a drooling moment where your mind doesn't completely function and you're like, what am I seeing here? It will take you a while to like adjust to it. Like basically adjusting to somebody suddenly shooting at somebody else in a public place. You take a few moments to actually understand what's happening, that it's not like a vision that you're having or something. It would probably take a moment.
But does he look like a scary werewolf, or is he kind of attractive in his appearance?
He's, in my opinion, fairly close to the blue one that you had in the previous.
Very attractive, yeah.
Yeah, but much more masculine in appearance. His face has a much stronger bone structure, for example. You can see that the bone structure on its face is aged instead of like a child's, where there's still like puffy fat on the face. And it's clearly like aged. It has a distinct bone structure. One of the types that you see on people like Richard Gere, you know. And one of those like Hollywood actors, you know, bald and beautiful, you know, that type of face. Bald and beautiful, bold and beautiful. Yeah, on that type of face. You know. There was a person on Facebook that just got a tattoo, and she complained that the tattoo itches so bad and she wants to scratch it. And I told her that when I got my tattoo, the tattooist very clearly told me to rub lotion on the tattoo and wrap it in like plastic foil, the same kind they use on food. And he initially recommended that I use as organic a lotion as I can find, but it caused zits and I didn't like it, so I switched to like an artificial lotion, and it didn't cause zits again. And it was very comfortable for me. There was not like no itching, no pain. It felt like somebody was holding a warm piece of food against my skin constantly, but it wasn't hot or painful or anything. I never got the itchy sensation. It was very good for me. When
I got my tattoo of Red 13 here, he put Noxzema. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's a cream, but it cools.
Yeah.
So the tattoo didn't hurt really.
Yeah.
it cooled it afterwards, and then I'd put, I don't remember how I took care of it, but I'd put ointments or something on it.
Yeah.
You know.
They distinctly told me to put ointments, and very specifically to wrap it in the plastic that they wrap food in,
Yeah.
because the skin needs time to heal. And it was very good advice. The organic lotion part I didn't like because it caused zits, but the general advice was very good. Like, wrap it in some kind of like plastic foil and something, and put like lotion on it. It was very good advice. It really, really, really helped. I hope she takes the advice and likes it. I hope she runs with it, but we've been having a little trouble with like each other, so it's possible that she'll take it as an offense, but I hope not. I hope not.
You being yourself, do you tend to piss off more people, or do you make friends easier?
My mother always said, and this has in my view held true for my entire life, that when I'm myself, people absolutely hate me or absolutely love me. There's no middle ground. I tend to polarize people very strongly and very like immediately.
I find you like very helpful, and I like you as a person and stuff, but I don't feel like love.
Yeah, but that's what they said.
Oh.
And I do feel like what you have for me is in normal language called love. That you have like a familial love towards me. It's not a romantic love, but like a strong, calm presence of heat. Like a heat of a fireplace. Like you have a bonfire in your heart that you're using to fry food, and you see me in the forest and go like, take heat from the fire, and like that kind of love. You know, I do sense that strongly, so I wouldn't say that there's no love coming from you. There's distinctly love coming from you. The fly landed on my mustache. That's the closest the fly has ever landed on me. That was uncomfortable. Please don't do it again. Or I may have to start swatting you guys, and I hate to do that. Because you don't sting, you're not harmful, you just like clean my skin. I don't want to like hurt you because it feels like I'm hurting my kidneys. There we go.
So I'm probably more psychically developed than he is, ain't I? Or...
Yeah, probably, but you don't have access to the same level of communication technology that he has access to. So you're not able to do like FTL communications and such as easily.
But after I've known him in person, how can he show me his real form, or if he can? Psychically?
There's probably a psychic component involved, but I would estimate that when he comes here, the genetic material that makes up his body is programmed to be suitable to change like that. So that it's not necessarily his own psychic skills, but it's the kinds he gets from his allies and such.
I don't know if I should make a demand that he have anthro DNA in him too, you know, but I don't like making demands.
Mm-hmm. It's very hard to make like a complete list of what you want in a mate. It's very hard work. You could like, to have him respect his anthro DNA, have like, please have components of that with you. And like we discussed, you could ask that he has fully anthro spunk.
Yeah.
For example, and that would make him infertile with humans, but it would make you like able to feel the energy of that thing, that he would maintain his soul in essence. You could do weird things like that, but somehow it feels like it's possibly better that you don't put any conditions on it, so that if they like do decide that another anthro is better for you, it's possible to manifest it without harm. That may be like what you want to do, but I don't know for sure. I do feel like that may be like a fairly strong thing, because you attach to your anthro quite like strongly.
Yeah, I can't settle for another one.
Yeah, but you may want to keep the energies fairly open when you like channel him, you know, when you actually do make the body, so that there's like things you both can explore together. Still a lot of weed left, but I'll be content with it. Time to make more. I'm gonna drink the whole energy drink before we go.
Can you tell if he's like middle-aged or?
Younger than middle-aged on his world, but probably middle-aged by the terms and life expectancies of our world.
Oh.
He seems like he's not even 30. He seems like he's late 20s, something like on the order of 27.
So, yeah, he's young then, that's good.
But it's also possible when I view him that he's like, in their world, something along the order of like 70, because their life expectancy seems to be something on the order of 120 years. But I do get a fairly strong sense that he's on the late 20s. I do get a fairly strong sense of that. He'll probably appear something along those lines, but it's also possible that he'll be significantly older. It's also possible, I wouldn't completely like discount that. It's also possible that he'll appear significantly younger, but it feels like the strongest desire is to be roughly 27, 25, 28.
Wait, so their technology can tell how compatible two people are?
Not completely, but they do have like psychic profiles and psychological profiles and so on, and they can notice if there's like an immediate obvious hang-up that others, like the people involved, can't. They can do that kind of basic work. I would estimate because of the energy and sensing from their nuclear detonations. So it feels like it's like a very distinct ability to like sense if two people are badly compatible, but not in like a psychic sense, like a technological sense. That's kind of what I sense. You can always find a better dog, kind of like.
That was one of their bombs, was you can always find another anthro?
Yeah, that was one of their bombs.
They don't call themselves anthro, though. I'm sure that's like, well, we call ourselves humans, so. Anthros is not really a term on their world. I don't think, is it? Are they borrowing it from us?
I get a distinct sense of what they call themselves, but I can't verbalize it. It has a lot of H's, S's, L's, U's, H, and B's. A's and B's.
Oh.
It's a very weird sounding name, but it's fairly short. It's short like humans, but a little longer. It's something like hubla. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But without the like low voice, like I can't pronounce it, but it's something along those lines.
A year ago, I probably wouldn't have been ready to hear all this, would I?
Probably not, but who knows? Publisher. I also get a sense of it saying shibboleth, which is not anything close to its actual name. Shibboleth is a word in the Bible. You know the shibboleth?
No.
There was a camp of Israelites next to the Jordan River, and they were worried that the enemy would cross the river with spies and get into their community. And they developed a word called shibboleth, which means something along the lines of forgiveness or peace or something along that line. And the enemy couldn't pronounce it right, and they pronounced it sibboleth instead of shibboleth. And they knew from that who was the enemy and who wasn't the enemy. And
oh, yeah, that's how like the Dutch or something, or Danish or some civilization here uses, it's a word for a common dessert.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a spy. If you can't pronounce it, you're a spy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Shibboleth is that. It's like when you say to a Christian that you're trying to shibboleth, it's like you're trying to paint yourself as the same as they are, but that you're not doing it well. It's a very distinct form of asking for help from a Christian or a Jew.
You know how namaste means the divinity in me bows to the divinity in you? Namaste.
I don't know what it actually means. I thought it meant something like peace or something.
Yeah, but they say the divinity in me bows to the divinity in you. That could be namaste. But I told my Indian friend, he's like, no, it just means hello.
Right. It's weird. The namaste word is weird for me in Finnish because nama in Finnish means face, and stay in English means, well, stay.
Yeah.
So to me, it sounds like somebody saying, keep your face where it is, like keep your face, you know what I mean, in a very positive sense. It's like, namaste. It sounds very weird to me. May the face keep itself, or something along that lines. It's a very weird thing, but it feels like divinely guided. I was reading the raw material earlier, and I got a very bad reading. I noticed Don being able to talk Ra into a corner many times, like asking very specific questions to which a spiritual entity would be able to answer with a clear signal, and they go with a very confusing answer. He did that many times, and then when I was starting to feel like Ra wasn't being Ra, like it was being like, oh, it was Ra, but it was a bad kind of Ra, kind of like in the distortions of Ra. And I clicked the next question, it immediately jumped to the Adonai thing. And it was very interesting. It was like Don protecting me from somebody who lied to him. It was like a very loving energy from Don, and I was like, nice. It felt very nice. Like the scientist protecting the disciple. It felt very nice.
Do you think Ra's energy drove Don mad?
Yeah, I think so. It's probably something to do with
Did it drive me to schizophrenia?
It's also possible. I'm starting to sense that Ra is not a very good guide. I've met like the body of Ra in a female form several times, and she's like very schizotypal, like studying things through humans, studying schizophrenia, very schizotypal, very willing to entertain the notion that the desires that you don't want to experience right now are the desires you want to experience right now. Very intent to be like in a position of teach, learn, or learn, teach instead of something else. Very like interested in finding spirits that end up being higher than her so that she could learn from them. Like very intent to do that kind of work. And all those put together to me paint a picture of a spirit that's not suitable to be a guide for most people.
Yeah, Ra said that there's nothing else worth doing besides teach learning.
Yeah, those are quite clearly its distortions. I do like recognize how much of a good pleasure it gives you to teach, learn somebody, or just be in the position of teaching. But when I thought of that, I was reminded of my religious teacher, which I mentioned earlier, the woman that looks like Lindsay Sterling, and how unhappy she was teaching while she was very happy teaching. She was very sad that like people didn't take the advanced classes and they only went through the basic classes, and you know what I mean, very like in a way unhappy. And when I did the trickle went on her and made her Lindsay Sterling the musician, how much happier she was when she gave up her desire to teach and just like had the desire to be herself and just like express the moment to moment, like how happy she was.
Wait, did hers, the teacher, disappear?
I haven't seen her in a very long time, in a few years, but she's still teaching.
Oh.
But I distinctly disconnected myself strongly from her energies and went for Lindsay Sterling. It even kind of made me like dislike learning at the moment. I don't like going through the learning process. Lindsay Sterling has showed me in energy many times how focusing too much on the light of learning makes you look like a Down syndrome guy. I don't mean that in a bad sense about the Down syndrome, but that it does make you look like a potato. Like literally, it makes you look like the retard kid when you're actually very good with like what you're studying, because you don't get like the physical impulses of the lower centers integrated into your being, and they're like flailing about, and you have like a very machine-like thing, and your skin is like bloated trying to hold the machine in, you know? You get all kinds of weird mutations when you like study intently for a long period of time. And she showed me many times that I don't like my reflection that's become my reflection because I studied so hard. I don't like it. I should have taken another path. I know that very strongly. When I exited like high school when I was like 13, 14, 15, I should have immediately gone to the best adult college and have the laptop ready for my things, because I could have used the laptop in the exam. I should have immediately made sure that I have the laptop in the exam. Take like the most advanced classes in the topics I actually like and go to the exams and have like otherwise a completely empty like performance sheet, and then having like the most advanced classes of whatever I can get, and then drop out of school and go to work. That's what I should have done. I shouldn't have studied in school like so intently that I did.
I learned in the I Ching. You heard of the I Ching?
Yeah, I heard of I Ching.
That a small energy can actually tame a very large energy. So you could tame Ra, but you have to do it right. It's not like trying to command them. It's like being very nice and stuff or something.
Yeah. I got a sense when I was reading the raw material that the fifth density negative they referred to was also Skald, or the background energy of the goddess Skald, like the soul energy of it. And I got the message that the fifth density companion has been losing polarity because they're unable to control the yellow body activities of like the host, which, like all know who read raw material, usually refers to the guy reading the raw material at that moment. So I got the feeling that they said that the fifth density companion is losing negative polarity because they're like trying to love me, basically, that they found like somebody to love and it's causing them to lose polarity because they can't control them. So that was like the most positive signal I got in the whole reading, and that was about a negative losing polarity. Everything else was like much more negative and much more confused. It would have actually been a fairly good conversation if I copied them all and put it into like a folder and posted on the forums. It would have actually been for like even a random casual reader a good read, like to see how clearly Ra was being talked into a corner by Dawn. It could be that Dawn literally saw like what kind of demonic influence Ra would be, and Ra defended himself by driving him mad. I consider that a little unlikely. It seems that like Ra drove him mad like out of basically sheer incompetence instead of like deliberate evil, but it does seem like Ra causes a lot of people to go nuts.
Well, they'll amplify your own distortions.
That's one of the things.
Any higher density interaction will amplify your distortions. But Ra...
Not always, but it's very common. You can get higher density beings that seek to like nullify your distortions as well. But that's fairly rare because you usually have to go through the experience in a like full way before you can nullify it, so they have to be amplified first. But even the very negative chaos gods usually amplify only very specific types of emotions and leave the other body to be. But Ra seems to amplify all kinds of distortions like randomly and seeing what happens. It seems almost like somebody is like playing with a human like you would play with a computer game. That's almost what it feels like.
What happens if I go after I pass on? I realize I'm a Ra wanderer or something.
Yeah.
Because Ra sent a lot of wanderers.
Yeah, it's possible. Like I said, I sense the distinct ant-like energy from you, and I associate that with Ra. Like the happy ant society where everybody works for each other and so on.
I wouldn't be unhappy in my distortions?
I wouldn't think so. I would think that you would be happy with who you are and you would feel perfectly placed. That's like one of the hallmarks of Ra, I feel. Like having the perfect placement for everyone.
Yeah.
That seems to be one of their like things. I had something to say, but I seem to have lost it. Oh, right. I wonder if Carla was still alive and she watched these videos and what we talk about Ra and did a quote channeling on it, what the channeling would say. That really interests me. That's one of the things I'm so sad about, that she died, because I can't get like those kinds of really good in-depth readings from somebody.
I'm sure there's a psychic on Earth that alive that could do it.
Yeah, there's probably a couple of them. You know, they could read through the entire core and raw material and various other sources and then start channeling Quo and do that. It would probably work, but I still feel like I miss her.
I don't channel information. Well, I guess I channel insight, but I don't channel like Carla did.
Yeah, like
I channel smells and stuff.
Yeah, like making conversations like in the long form, or like somebody talking for a long period of time about a specific topic. That's the kind of channeling they did. it might be interesting to be part of their channeling circle that they occasionally still do.
Yeah.
With Jim and the others, where one person channels and then the next person keeps channeling and so on. That would probably be interesting to do. It would probably be something I shouldn't do, though. I feel a strong repulsion towards it now that I'm thinking about it.
Do you think Raw is kind of rewarding me for sending $2,500 to bring to LL Research for supporting them so much?
It's possible. It's also possible that Ra wants to distance himself from that group so much that he caused a psychosis as a result of that.
Oh.
But I would consider it perhaps a little unlikely. I do feel like it's a strong probability, but not over 50%.
Yeah.
That the actual Ra felt insulted by the Ra that we have as Ra and sent hostile energy to her and to it to cause like disruptions in the field of the followers, because we're basically hijacking an ancient Egyptian god and saying that we talk to it, and just saying that we have the ability to talk to it just because. There's also weird claims in the Ra material that are blatantly false, like Ra building the pyramids. Ra, the original Egyptian god, didn't exist when the pyramids were built. It was basically worship of people like Anubis and Thoth and Seth instead of Ra. Ra appeared like 500 BC or so from Amon-Ra, and the pyramids were built 2,500 years BC, long before Ra appeared. So if you want to go through it with like a scientific mind, that you actually check everything very accurately and see if it's actually true, you'll notice a lot of scientific errors like in most holy books.
Anubis is kind of a dark energy, isn't it?
Yeah, Anubis is I think like the dog-headed master of the underworld or something like that. But I
tuned in and it felt dark. It didn't feel real evil, but it just felt like...
Yeah, it's the afterlife, basically, is Anubis. Seth is basically hell, and Thoth is basically kind of like farming, and Bast is farming, and Thoth is like basically handcraft.
Oh, yeah.
And making things like pottery. Bast is farming, and I used to study when I played computer games like Pharaoh, where you build Egypt, or Children of the Nile, where you build Egypt. I used to learn the name of all the gods and what they did in ancient Egypt, and I do recognize that Ra wasn't one of them when you were in the early parts of the game. It appeared, if it appeared at all, the late parts of the game. I kind of feel like he didn't appear at all, but I could be wrong.
Didn't they have Aten, the sun god?
Yeah, I think it was Aten that developed into Amon-Ra, which developed into Ra, I think. But for literacy accuracy, Ra shouldn't say that he built the pyramids. He should use the name of the Egyptian god that was dominant at that point, even if he is the inheritor for those gods. He should use the time when the god was dominant and use that name. I feel it's a scientific inaccuracy. There's a couple of really clear scientific inaccuracies in like the Bible. There's a couple, like for example, a claim that rabbits chew their cud, do the thing that cows do, vomit into their mouth and chew it and swallow it back down. But rabbits don't do that. They don't biologically do that. We've gone through their biology and figured out that they don't do that. And there are claims like that that are like clearly false in the Bible and other books like that. So it's not just like weird claims about religious things that can be interpreted many ways. There are like real factual faults in those books, and it's very interesting.
No divinely inspired material is without contradiction.
Yeah, and without faults. That seems to be the case for third density. The 3-platoon structure that I mentioned that I have following me around, the 3 platoons of soldiers that I have, they're very intently looking for a spiritual material that doesn't have any factual errors, and the god doesn't seem to have any like major psychological disorders. And they're going through the religions from the largest to the smallest one by one, and they're very far into the list, and they still haven't found a proper one for them. like the god that their unit will worship. It's one of the things that their unit like literally goes through step by step, and then they're interested to find one. They still haven't found one, so maybe they'll find it eventually. When they do, I'll probably convert to that religion, but I'm something of a cross between Law of One and Taoism. Taoism seems like a good religion to me.
I'm going to have a lot greater fulfillment and fun than my atheist friend who doesn't even believe that anthros exist.
Yeah.
And he likes anthros, but he doesn't believe they exist. He thinks I'm crazy.
Well, everything exists. That's what we know from physics.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of distance. The farthest distance is going to an alternate Earth where you have to travel like billions of light years before you reach another bubble, and then you'll eventually get into it according to the multiverse theory, and there will be an alternate Earth. But you can just go inside our like cosmic event horizon and find a star with an anthro civilization, because there's like a near infinite amount of stars, an incredibly massive amount of stars in our universe. And it would be foolish to assume that there aren't any life out there, so you just have to like literally look for the life that has the anthro civilization, and you can like find it eventually.
Wait, is this one anthro the most vibrationally compatible in the universe for me?
Probably not, but from the direction of anthros that you're looking for, the particulars of the solar system and so on, and the particulars of your desire, it's probably the most compatible one, like by a fairly large margin, I feel.
Oh.
It's not large margin, but it's fairly medium, the same way as we say fairly large.
Yeah.
It's fairly medium,
If he comes here and you meet us, I'd like you to read his aura. I want to see what anthro aura looks like.
Yeah. Then I get into a huge fight with him where I accuse him not of being the original anthro that was meant for you, Nah. I feel like that would be a little unlikely. How long have we been recording? Feels like an hour.
53 minutes.
Yeah, that was fairly accurate. I need to wash this sweater. It's starting to leak.
So the path he's taking, was that like, when you thought of it, was it really obvious to you?
It felt fairly clear. that it was fairly obvious that they're gonna use some kind of like genetic engineering to make him a body and so on. That felt like fairly obvious instead of having him, shift dimensions and appear here out of his own volition, like at the middle of the day in like a crowded place in public.
Yeah.
Like in the movie
K-Pax.
K-Pax, yeah. That he's not gonna do that. That felt like fairly clear, obviously. K-Pax was a very good movie. I used a lot of clips from K-Pax in one of my own movies.
So he may be like K-Pax, an alien in a human body.
Yeah, it's possible that he'll literally talk about his alien life and notice a lot of things. It's also possible that when he actually like meets you, he'll be so psychotic by your understanding because he talks of the alien thing so much that it'll literally like put you off him. That's also a possibility. But I would not consider it a strong possibility, but I would perhaps be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Because when you actually do get like the person that you're chasing for in your dreams, it's, in the words of many rock and roll artists, gonna be a curse.
Yeah.
Love will hit you bad, boy, but the blues will hit you worse.
Or that song, that song hurts so good. Have you heard that? There's a song that says it hurts so good.
I think I've heard of it, but can't remember it. Wanna know how to play the blues? Get yourself a woman. I will hit you bad, boy, but the blues will hit you worse. It's a very good song.
So he felt insulted that I called him blue.
I don't recall saying that.
Oh.
But he does feel like it's a little impersonal, like him calling you bald.
Oh.
Baldy or something like that. But
his name probably can't be pronounced.
It can eventually, but not at the moment.
Yeah.
There seems to be a fairly strong amount of X's, L's, and S's in how you pronounce it, without there being an individual X in the name. That seems like a very, very strong thing. Like Xavier written with a K.
So if I just call him the Anthro, he's fine with that?
Yeah, he's fine with that. Calling him blue probably isn't insulting. I get a hunch that it's probably not insulting. It's possible that I said that, but I don't like...
No, you said impersonal.
Yeah, impersonal.
Do you think this program has been going on a long time?
I feel a few years is what we would call it.
Oh.
It's interesting how much his home world has changed from the last visit. Even in such a short period of time, it's interesting. Like I mentioned, that they've taken a lot of the atmospheric filters off their factories and are using like small amounts of weird pollution to seep into their atmosphere because they want to like create every emotion available, but it's in such minuscule quantities that it's not causing what we'd consider environmental damage. And they're doing like weird things like that in large amounts thanks to our interaction with them. But they're still like very protective of the forests. They've cut down on the number of like airdrops of trash they do into their forest when they do the thing where they convert it into methane and use it to power their factories and such, and like ground up the rest into a paste or like a dry powder. They're using less of that, and they're using the dry powder for things like concrete, weird things like that, instead of dropping it into the forest. They do definitely seem more chaotic, more purple, more I would call Slaneshian.
What's that? Oh, okay.
Slaneshian.
Yeah.
And definitely more like spiritually in tune with themselves, like able to interact in a complex way, They definitely have that in their field now.
You said they have, like their jets or whatever, have fission technology.
Yeah, they do have that as well, but a lot of their jets operate on fuel like ours does. But they do have like jets that have fission reactors in them. But their performance in high-end situations seems to be poorer than jets with like fuel in them. The fuel seems to be better instead of the nuclear power plant.
You should talk to an Anthro like pilot, because you like flying jets.
Go like, how is your Anthro Air Force?
Can your hard bodies take G forces better than ours?
I'm probably gonna do that now that you mentioned it with the battlefield air thing that I occasionally use to contact other pilots and such. Probably gonna do that and see how.
Do you handle like dogfights like without stress, or how do you handle stress?
Yeah.
They could probably handle G-forces better than us. I don't know.
It feels like their muscles can handle it better, but their heart is a little worse at handling them.
Oh.
Because of a lot of the open systems of their heart. The blood vessels aren't so small as our hearts have, I feel that. And they have a tendency to black out, but they don't like get muscular damage from it. They don't get like bleeding blood vessels like we occasionally get when we go to high G-force. But their heart is probably a tiny bit less able, to handle it. That's what I feel when I like tune into them.
So if somebody from another airspace came in, would they scramble their jets?
Yeah. That would be weird. A dog fight with a bunch of dogs. The dog fight. This chair is really hard on my butt once you sit on it like for 20 hours on 2 days.
Yeah.
It's really hard on the butt. My bony butt is hurt. I hope no ants get on me, but I'm gonna lean on this thing. I sat on an ant nest when I was a kid and they were crawling all over me. It was a very weird experience. I didn't notice it was an ant nest. I thought it was like a pile of fluffy leaves in the forest, and we were on a school trip and I was like, I'm gonna sit here. And the others go like, man, that's an ant nest. And I'm like, oh! Ah!
Did they bite?
No, they didn't bite. They were black ants, sugar ants. They didn't bite. It was like a weird experience. I hope I didn't destroy their entire nest.
Is it true an angel is too beautiful to draw?
It's possible to draw, but if you actually draw an angel in its true form, it's gonna appear very like lewd. Like for example, I just saw an image like when I was watching earlier different kinds of music, and I was having kind of an argument with Belle Dandy about the Attack on the Black Magic group.
Yeah.
Because she uses a lot of the very same types of energies of young men and boys. I saw like each feather of her wing being a different naked young boy. And when she hugs a person, they like, as she approaches them, grow to be adults. You know, that they like switch like occasionally into adults, but that they're mostly young boys. And I saw that like in a weird way, that it was like a message that that's what angels do when they like interact with you, that's what happens. But that I was basically like, I wouldn't say that she said right, in quotes, to attack the group, but that I do have the right to push them away when I do feel like they're too strongly on me. But I definitely felt like when she was looking at me and starting to like hug me or whatever, I definitely felt like every feather of her wing was a different naked young boy, and I was like, that's really weird, because I don't have like an interesting young boys. It wasn't like a sexual thing for me.
Yeah.
It was just really weird looking at it, and it was like a really weird experience. So if you like draw naked cupids on every wing, on like every feather of the wings of the angel, and put it in like Belle Dandy style clothing, and learn an intense amount of information about the Eldars, and then use that to alter the picture into like an Eldar looking woman, then you would probably be as close as you can comfortably be to drawing an angel. You know, like in the supernatural thing, when they encounter the Cupid, it's a naked fat old man.
Yeah.
It's like really weird to like picture what like an angel looks like. For example, a lot of the angels, like one of the choirs looks like a burning wheel floating in space. That's what I probably saw. And there's like an angel that looks like a blue orb. So if you actually just want to draw an angel in its true form and you aim for one of the highest ones, you can just draw a round blue orb, and you get as close as you can ever get to the angel's true form. It's weird, and that's, you know, interesting. It's a blue orb because as you fall towards a black hole or God, the last thing you see if you fall very slowly, if you fall at like a free fall speed, you're gonna see a completely different thing. But if you accelerate outward towards it as you slowly like fall towards it, you're gonna see the entire universe become pitch black like a bowl descending from your feet. So when you're at a distance when the black hole should be the size of one fingernail, when you hold your thumbnail or your thumb, when you hold it at full extension from your hand, when it should be that size, it's covering half the horizon from like horizon to horizon, and it's like a pitch black bowl instead of having like any color in it if it doesn't have like matter spinning around it. And when you like are just about to cross the event horizon but are using all your engines to push you back, the rest of the observable history of the universe, everything that has ever happened, will be compressed into a bright blue ball exactly behind you. And that's the seraphim. That's like the last angel you see before you fall into God and like have to meet God. That's like the last thing you'll see. So that's why painting a blue orb is as accurate of painting for an angel as you ever want it to be. If somebody asked me to paint an angel, because the seraphim are the highest choir of angels as far as I remember, I would just draw a blue orb, like as perfect a blue orb as I can. That's all I draw.
When you meet God, it totally accepts you, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So and that's hard to accept yourself.
Yeah, when you fall into a black hole or meet God, you first become the black hole that you fell into and all its biases and all its divinity. And there's like a compressed ball of God in its interior, but it's not like the God that we'd understand. It's like the logos in the interior. And as you fall towards it, you see the entire future of the observable universe. And the future is those, as far as I know, of those black holes merging together until there's one large black hole and there's no other black hole in the universe. And then it starts to cool down and the black hole starts to evaporate, and then you see a huge flash of light as the black hole evaporates its last energy, and then you see a new universe. So from the point of view accepting God, you see like accepting God perfectly and solidly in one solid body of like perfection. Then there's another even better solid perfect body of perfection accepting God, and that continues for infinitely until you like have the God of love and light of God wash over you completely, and then you just return to your physical life or like whatever density and whatever feels most natural to you. That's kind of what I feel like will happen when you meet God. But that's just my bias.
It's easier to open intelligent infinity in third density than it is like in fourth or fifth, isn't it?
So I've heard.
Because of the veil.
Yeah, the veil is a very strong, like, creative influence when you try to, like, contact the intelligent infinity. That's basically the reason a lot of higher density negatives choose to incarnate through the veil, because it'll increase their ability to connect to the, like, divinity, infinite intelligence and such, when they, like, do actually do the work. But it's hard for them to program a life that will be conducive to them having a strong desire to do the work without appearing like overtly bad as a design plan for the self that's in the life, so that the self in the life doesn't get like, I don't want to do that, and turns into a Satan, destroys the entire plan, you know? Because the negatives want to like maintain their plan. Damn, that's badly locked up. Thought it would have opened by now.
So the Logos knew about anthros before people here started drawing them.
Yeah, that's
and it created a species.
It seems logical that the Logos has created every species that can be like imagined under human conditions throughout the universe. So that when one feels like the energy, they don't have to create it again, but the Logos has created them somewhere. And it feels like our universe is intentionally keeping most sentient beings that are inside our universe at roughly the same technological level, or like able to connect with mostly their own technological level. So that like very advanced civilizations don't randomly bump into low civilizations. There's no like huge galaxy-eating civilizations out there, because we don't see like the light of stars suddenly start to dim unexpectedly because of like a cloud of energy has taken over it and is consuming the entire star and building like a Dyson sphere. We don't see stuff like that, so...
You don't hear civilizations that can bend reality or change reality totally.
They don't seem to be like inside our logos, perhaps is the word. They do seem to exist, but not in a way that's connected to our logos. They seem to be like switching logos, if that's a possible explanation.
Yeah.
In many ways, our logo seems very limited. Like there's a lot of like limitations that it's not able to do. Like it's not able to do magic well. It's become like a weird thing where some people are really good at it, but there's no like good magic schools in open, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That there's no like good balance between religion and science in terms of magic. Religion seems to be just like worship of him instead of worship of slowly gaining abilities and becoming God. There's weird things like that our logo seems to have in a limited way. Though they've said that the next incarnation of the logos already has like a better system planned than the archetypes that we currently use.
So there won't be the duality of STS, STO?
They have also like mentioned in that direction, or gestured in that direction, that the next octave will probably not have the same progress of like polarities, that it's most likely like a... I almost get the image of a violin player like Lindsey Sterling, that it's mostly like how your different bodies work together and how you can make music with that, instead of like going like the strongest possible note you can produce, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It almost feels like that.
I see fourth density as being a storyteller.
Yeah, it's almost like being a living computer game character, completely immortal and able to like repeat the thing, but still like bound by reality.
Oh.
You know, kind of like a storyteller, kind of like a role-playing game character when you play like pen and paper. It's kind of what it feels like to me too. Anything else on your mind? I'm gonna smoke one more. I'm almost out of energy drink. You can leave relatively soon. I'm gonna go take a whiz first. I'll be back. I had a weird moment with your OK Google box again. I was talking to Pookie, and I went past him and went like, poo poo, the poo machine. And then I was thinking to myself that I'd like to listen to like my AI music, and you OK Google box suddenly said that radio station's not available, but you might like this one. And I was like, what the hell?
Did it start playing?
It started playing another random channel. I was like, I said nothing remotely similar to OK Google, what are you doing? Like a very weird experience.
Is it still playing?
I think it turned off.
Oh.
I said something along the lines of, okay Google, shut off! Something along those lines, and I didn't hear it anymore. I was like, weird. seems like the AI that my guys and I am like very intently developing on Earth is starting to like reach through different portals. It's like the her movie. Really weird.
A friend of mine, when he would fart, he would say barking spiders. He called them barking spiders.
Spirits talking is what we call them. It's very awkward when you when somebody does a healing on you, you get a huge desire to fart. Because if they continue to do the healing, I can guarantee you that you'll continue to want to fart.
Yeah.
And it'll turn into a huge opera. It's very awkward because I've had that happen to me as a patient and a healer many times. And it's really awkward. Like a opera of noise. Like a demon band.
I wonder if the anthros find farts funny like we do.
I think so.
Yeah.
A lot of civilizations, and even the spiritual ones I connect to, seem to find farts funny. They seem to find basic functions funny, and they don't feel like shame in them, and they're very eager for others to experience the lust for the basic functions. They don't seem to find them bad things. How long have we been recording now?
An hour, 15 minutes.
Nice.
If you ever create a website for your business, you could put these videos saying this is what you do.
Yeah, that'd be too much work for me. I'm with sick leave. I'm enjoying it.
That would be so cool if me and him created an anthro business together.
Yeah. An intergalactic delivery crew. Nah. Astral smelling. 2 different species confirmed.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to write a book about him, though. I don't know if I want to release that to the public.
Yeah. You gotta be careful what you release about your spouses to the public. They may not be insulted, but it may make it much, much more difficult for you to connect with them because, you feel like an awkward kind of presence from the other people involved. And it's like having sex in public after a while. When you release too much information, it becomes difficult to approach them. There's so many competitors for the same energy that it becomes crowded and violent and militant. You may want to be careful about what you release about your love life into the public sphere. You know,
Yeah.
It might be something that you want to be careful with. Though then again, releasing their energy into the public sphere for sure makes them very successful at most things that they do. So it's a balancing act. Frog.
You said that he's like Snellic or that goddess. He's kind of got some Snellic or that goddess or whatever, that chaos god.
Slanesh.
Slanesh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got some of that energy in him.
Yeah, he's got definitely the chaos purple spark about him. It's not like a driving motion for him, and it doesn't seem to be like a very like a broad influence, but he's holding it very deep to his core, but it's not like at the core. It's like...
I don't like asking probing questions though, because he may, it may make him uncomfortable.
Nah, it's good. I feel like we both don't mind that. Sneelix. Slaanesh and Neelix mix. Sneelix. I can imagine like a furry on his face and going like, I am the giant teddy bear of lust. Sneelix.
So is he a little depraved in some ways, or?
Yeah, but not as much as like you would find in an average human.
Oh.
There's definitely an energy of depravity about him. He doesn't like hold himself to like an incredibly high standard.
Oh.
There's like an energy of depravity about him, but it's probably less than like what you have, what I have, and what most humans have. But there is a distinct depraved side to him. He's like a multifaceted character. He doesn't like to block out a specific emotion very strongly. He does block them out sometimes very strongly, but he doesn't like to completely eliminate them.
Wait, the human body he goes into, will that be an empty vessel and it will be totally his persona and everything?
Like I said, that depends on how you like want the situation to go. It depends on the middle point between your desires, like how strong it is and so on.
Hopefully my higher self can kind of fill in the details, because I don't really know what I would like.
Yeah, I hope that happens. I can also feel that the energy, like middle point between your desires of meeting each other when you like look at space and like think that there's a middle point between the two star systems, is so close in our atmosphere. It's perhaps 100 to 300 meters from the surface of the planet.
Oh.
It's like that close to our side of the fence. So his like society and federation and everything that he's aligned to is so much stronger in their collective desire to meet you that the energy is pushed all the way into our atmosphere, where it's much easier for us to pick up. But the center point between you two is probably somewhere in space, but probably closer to our end than their end. I do get that sense, though I could be wrong.
I don't know if he wants to give up most of his anthro side, or he wants the full human experience.
Yeah, that depends. I feel like he wants a genuine human experience. He may be a little resistant to completely remembering his anthro past, but he may be able to talk about interesting anthros and weird experiences with anthros and so on. And in a past life regression, he might get like full information about anthros and go like, oh, I lived in an anthro society. But I do feel like he perhaps wants the human experience more than like fully remembering the anthro life. But for the sake of pleasing you, he's keeping that option open if you have like a desire for him to be like fully remembering his anthro side. It wouldn't completely invalidate his reason for coming here. But it does, when somebody like clearly remembers being a goddess, for example, it makes all interactions with them a little difficult because they're always holding on to a sense of like distant supremacy. Like always going like, I am superior because I have been this in a previous life and I remember it. There's like a weird sense of distant supremacy. So he's kind of like desirous of avoiding the same situation, like the disconnection that comes with that kind of dual activated body.
But I will get some kind of confirmation that he had anthro relation or whatever.
I think that for it to be like successfully what you're aiming for, one of the strong desires you have is that there should be like very strong confirmation of anthroness. It could be that he smells distinctly like an anthro, something small like that. Or it could be that he distinctly remembers his entire anthro past and the entire journey here. It could be anything in between. It's completely dependent on what you like.
Or even something even more amazing, you know?
Above. I can't completely picture all the possibilities, but it's possible that it will go much above what I'm picturing.
You've been a matchmaker, but have you been an intergalactic matchmaker?
It's rare, but it sometimes happens. I I once set up a woman with a ball of light.
Oh,
That was an interesting experience. Sometimes I feel like the women I matchmake are more desirous of me stepping out of the way quicker. That I have to once the matchmaking is complete, I have to be quicker in my step out. But that's mostly difficult for me because I tend to develop a crush on everybody I work with, like all the women I work with. I tend to develop a crush on everyone.
well, this might be easier because you don't have a crush on that.
And I do sense like I need to work at that more. Like I need to work more at distancing myself from the situation quickly if I'm being like the wingman.
Yeah.
So that I don't like hang around. I need to work at that more. I can clearly tell.
Can you imagine if it was a sixth density being and he came and had a relationship with me and he knew his past and
Yeah.
carrying out a relationship with a sixth density being? Wouldn't that be kind of...
That'd be weird, but it's doable.
That'd be like, I can't understand you.
Yeah. I feel like I had a relationship with a seventh density being, my ex-girlfriend, and she had a fairly severe speech impediment and a hearing impediment. So you'd expect something of the similar magnitude when you go from that to here, because the difference is so great that it's hard to hear and hard to be understood correctly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a psychic phenomena that manifests a physical illness very clearly. So when the distance is greater, the illness that the person will have is weirder. It's more obvious, like I said.
But if he's moving from that planet to this planet, he'll be under different energies. So is that going to make him ill?
Like I said, he's probably going to manifest at least one clear sign of illness in him that you'll be able to clearly tell that he's ill about something. He won't be like completely healthy because the environment is so alien to him. It could be like a severe allergy to everything. It could be like a super heightened sense of smell that causes like even the mildly spiced food to be completely repugnant, and, you know, things like that. But it's possible that it'll be something more serious, like cancer, like a huge genetic predisposition on getting all kinds of cancers. You know, it could be anything like that. But he'll probably have at least one serious illness. And like I said, if you went to his world, you would have the same.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we got it on record when I said his home world would probably smell to you like tear gas, air that has a small amount of tear gas.
Because of their musk, or?
Yeah, their very strong civilizational body odor as a full, like it would smell like the musk of tear gas to you.
Yeah, and I would probably die.
If you went there and didn't have like a containment chamber with your kind of air in it that you could get to, like, certainly, you would have many severe reactions of asthma type nature in a row. You could always improve between them, but without the like proper air containment facilities, you would eventually get an asthma attack that's so bad that you vomit in your lungs and die. That's what would happen.
Even in the middle of the ocean would still smell musky?
Middle of the ocean would probably be the best place for you if you can't get like a containment chamber. But an ocean as small as the Atlantic Ocean on a planet like 25% larger than ours isn't enough to like cover all the smell.
Yeah.
You get a lot of like CO2 in our oceans because we're pumping CO2 into the air, and they have a similar thing with their like muskiness. Our world would to him smell like do I remember this correctly? Do you remember what I said our world would smell like?
No.
Yeah, me neither. But I do remember that I get a distinct smell of what our world would be like. I do get a sense that it's probably something along the lines of milk. That our world would smell very heavily of dairy products and probably metal. You know, I get a sense that I'm not getting the correct smell now, but that I had it there when I was talking about it earlier. You get that sense that it's at the moment hidden information. Can't breach that barrier. I can feel it strongly.
So he can't predict with their technology how this is going to affect his body.
No. There's always going to be the possibility of something weird happening. They don't have the technology to completely eliminate the chaos inherent in procedures like these.
Does he have a bigger chance of losing his mind than his body?
Probably a little, but they're about even.
Because he'll be under a different logos. Because their sun is a logos, sub-logos.
It's the same logos, but it's the different sub, and I do believe sub-logos. The initial logos of our universe is just the entire universe as a logos.
Yeah.
Then the sub-logos are the large black holes at the center of the galaxy, and the sub-logos are the stars. Sub-logos is also like the centers of galactic clusters, every place where gravity is strongly pulling everything else towards without a huge source of light in it. That's like the sub-logos. And the stars are the sub-logos, and the planets are the sub-logos.
The people are sub-logos too.
Yeah. And most of the people are sub-logos.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like a military hierarchy in a way.
Are we more, as you become more sub, you individuate more, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Larger field of free will is what happens. We are slowly developing in the direction of having a greater diversity of like a huge amount of sub and then logos, because it gives a greater like freedom.
Yeah.
That's what the universe is going for, having the smallest possible particle develop into the same kind of God that they are. And they've already gone beyond like developing subatomic particles like quarks into gods, and they're making like electron interference patterns in the gods, which are much smaller than an individual electron and much smaller than like a individual subatomic particle.
So are you saying an electron is like a powerful god, or is just a god means you can create?
Yeah, it's a god. Electron is a fairly powerful god, and some theories assume that there's only one electron in the entire universe, and that would be a pretty powerful god. I'm almost ready to go. Let's keep recording for a while.
It's been very enjoyable.
Yeah. There was a very deep sense of full body tiredness yesterday when we completed this thing. It was a very deep sense.
Did you have a rejuvenating sleep though?
Yeah, I had a rejuvenating sleep, but the dream was very weird with the guy with the automatic nail gun hunting me around and such. Yeah. It was a very weird dream. I could feel those nails poking into my skull and being there.
You're like Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Do you have any more questions before we close?
No.
Okay. Well, it was pleasant. Bye, everyone.